Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Have you ever asked yourself, why can't I just stop feeling angry all the time? Other moms seem like they're always calm and collected with their kids, and here I am, falling apart at the seams, feeling triggered and reactive for tiny little things. Maybe you feel like things will never change. Maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you're feeling like it will always be like this. Maybe you're feeling like that you're not capable of change. By the way, that's a lie from the enemy. I have a client who is in her 50s who is able to change generational anger patterns. Maybe you're wanting to change so bad because you know you weren't always like this. Maybe you even want things the way that they used to be, and the kind of person that you used to be in the past, fun and lighthearted and playful and joyful. And now you're finding yourself negative, mean, and unkind to your children. If this is you, listen up. This episode is going to help you understand why things that you've tried in the past are not working. Welcome to episode 226. Today, I want you to ask yourself, what have you tried in the past to help you with your angry reactions? So most moms that come to me have tried multiple things. For example, reading books on anger and parenting, reading blog posts on this topic, listening to podcasts, passive courses where you buy a course and you do it at your own time, which, by the way, studies have shown that less than 2% of people that buy a passive course actually go through it and implement the knowledge. And less than 0.5% of people that read a book on the specific topic implement the knowledge that's in the book. Just kind of a side thing. And coaching, your success rate goes to 95% if you have a lot of accountability and support. And so most other people also tried counseling. Most moms that have come into my program have done some sort of counseling at some point in their life, or are even currently in counseling for anger and it's not being addressed in the way that is actually helpful for them, and praying. So those are the things that typically moms have tried before they come into my coaching program. So I want you to ask yourselves, what have you tried in the past that has not helped your anger? And why do you think it has not helped you resolve your anger issues? So maybe you have tried those things in the past and it helped for a little bit, and then you go back to your old ways of reacting and you find yourself thinking, nothing is working. What's wrong with me? Why am I always reactive? Why am I always angry at my kids? Why am I always triggered and just constantly negative and moody and grumpy, and everything just sets me off? What's wrong with me? So why is that? And the answer is, why these things have not worked in the past, it's because you never got to the root of the issue. You were trying to address anger superficially, and you did not get to the root of why you're feeling angry in the first place. And so I wanted to share with you an analogy with my personal life, a personal story in my life, trying to do something yourself for a long time and not being able to figure it out, and finally investing in working with somebody and somebody helping me understand the root issue and giving me a step-by-step process how to address it. So the story I want to share with you is about my gut health. So months back, I've shared on this podcast that I have really bad bloating, like really bad. So I am 4'11". I'm not tall at all. I am petite, and I naturally have a curvy low back. I've always had that. And when my stomach is bloated, it's got nowhere to go but forwards. And so I do actually look pregnant. And I've had for at least 2 years, actually 2.5 years, people would wonder and ask me if I'm expecting. I'm not, but I do look like I'm expecting, especially if I wear something fitted. Well, my bloating has gotten worse over the past 2 years since we moved to Florida. It just kept getting worse and worse and worse. And it's really, really bad in the evenings. It's kind of a little bit in the mornings, and then it would just get worse and worse in the evenings. And it didn't matter if I worked out or not. It didn't matter what I ate. I could literally have like a smoothie and just like quinoa and salmon and a salad, like just completely eat super clean. And I have been eating really clean for a while. And like I cook from scratch, everything at home. And so it was getting really, really frustrating. I've tried cutting out gluten. I've tried cutting out dairy. Eat very, very little sugar, if any processed sugar. I have tried taking probiotics, different kinds. I've tried digestive enzymes. I've listened to a bunch of podcast episodes that were talking about bloating and just even things like, oh, maybe you're drinking water from a straw and that's why you're bloated. Or maybe you're drinking sparkling water and the bubbles are making you bloated. So like a ton of things. I tried implementing what I found online. And my bloating would not go away. I just could not figure out what the root issue was. And then I was at a podcasting boot camp listening to somebody share their testimonial about growing their own podcast. And that lady, her podcast is called Better Belly Podcast, and I will link it in the show notes. She's a faith-based woman, and she has a podcast all about constipation and bloating and like balancing your hormones naturally and all the things. I didn't have any constipation. I didn't have any pain. My biggest thing was just that I would get bloated, and it would get so bad in the evenings. I literally look like I'm 4 months pregnant. And I would get to a point where I'm constantly wearing clothes that is loose and things that I don't even like or don't look cute in, so people wouldn't ask me if I'm pregnant. Because the things that I do like to wear, I can't, or I think I can't, because I do look pregnant and I feel uncomfortable when people ask me, and so do they. And in May was the last time somebody asked me if I was expecting, and I said, no, I'm just bloated and I have stomach issues. And it just got to a point where I just felt desperate. I felt desperate. I'm like, I need to find somebody that would help me with this. And I think it was in April that I heard of that podcast. So somehow I started to listen to some of the episodes on there. And I submitted a voice question, like a voice memo, so she could answer my question on the podcast. Speaking of that, actually, I have that same option for you. If you want me to answer a question on the podcast, you can scroll down to the very bottom of the show notes. There's a link over there that says leave a voice note. You can leave me a voice note. It's like 90 seconds. Even if you don't have a question, maybe you have a comment or something that you want to say. If this podcast has served you or blessed you in any way, I would love to hear from you. Those are so lovely. You have no idea. The times I do get them, I just feel so excited just because it's so awesome. Anyways, I left her a voice note and she answered my question on her podcast. And she talked about how there is possibly you have candida, you have H. pylori, low stomach acid, but the way to do that is to do testing and to find out what the issue is. And then she has a step-by-step protocol in her program, how to address them. And then you need to do it in a specific order so then they don't come back, because one of them feeds off of the other. And so I decided, I'm like, you know what? I've tried everything on my own. It just hasn't worked. I've tried listening to podcasts on this. I've tried doing the probiotics. I've tried cutting out the diet, like things in my diet. I've tried eating super clean. Like, it's just everything I've tried or have come up across, it has not worked. And it's getting to a point where it's affecting my everyday life, the way that I dress, the way that I feel about myself. Like, I'm starting to be mad at my body for being like this. And so I ended up purchasing that program, that coaching program. And in that coaching program, you order lab tests like a stool test, a urine test, a hair sample test, a food sensitivity test, a hormone test. So you order these tests. So then the results come back and you know what the issues are. And then you can address the issues in a specific order with a step-by-step process that this functional medicine practitioner has. And like, not to bore you, I have like multiple things that came back positive that are in my body that I'm now addressing step by step. And I'm starting to finally see some results. My bloating is starting to go down a little bit. My tests, like, if you don't care, you can skip through this part. But if you want to know, like, it's crazy. My test came back that I have H. pylori in my body. I have candida. I have a specific parasite. I have low stomach acid. I also have mold in my body. And then copper toxicity, too much copper in my body, probably from the copper IUD. So, which that needed to be removed as well, which is a whole nother story. But besides the point, like, I had a ton of things that were going on in my body. And I feel like I'm a pretty healthy person overall. Besides the bloating issue and just feeling tired, I would say maybe a little bit of brain fog. I didn't have like any actual health issues. I don't take any medication. And so getting the results and be like, oh, this is what's going on. So it's not all in my head that I am pretending that I am bloated and that I'm like, I'm not imagining this. There's an actual reason for this. And now I know exactly what's going on. And in the program, there's a step-by-step process how to address these issues in order. And I have access to the coach they have a Facebook community where you can ask questions Monday through Friday or something. And then actually every other week, there's a coaching call where I can get on the call and be like, hey, this and this is happening. How do I deal with this? Please answer these questions. And it is so helpful to have someone who knows a step-by-step process, who has walked ahead of me, who knows exactly what to do, who had these issues herself in the past. And she has figured out a way and able to answer my questions and support me on the journey and be surrounded by people that are literally dealing with similar things and symptoms. And it was just so nice and so helpful and so supportive. I feel just more empowered as soon as I even joined the program, because I'm and now knowing what I have going on and having a step-by-step process. And yes, the results are not overnight. It's like a 6-month process to get everything out of your body, maybe even a little bit more, to see fully 100% results. And having the relief of knowing what to do, having someone there to ask questions and support me along the journey and cheer me on when I'm having breakthroughs and wins. I kid you not, it is so valuable, so valuable. And I'm I wish I would have done this earlier and not try to spend all this time trying to figure out myself. Well, and why did I do that? Well, I tried saving money and tried to resolve things on my own. And now it's so helpful that I have someone that's walking me through this. All right, if you can hear my toddler yelling in the background, I want to get out. I don't know if you can hear her or not, but that's because she's in quiet time and she wants to get out of her crib. And she doesn't want to stay in there. And it's tricky because this is the only hour that I get to work and she doesn't want to stay in there. So I apologize for that. Anyways, back to the story. The reason I invested in support is because I tried things on my own and it hasn't worked. And I did not understand why I was having bloating in the first place. I had no answers. And so when it comes to anger, it is so important to understand the root of anger. Why are you experiencing it in the first place? Your reactivity is a symptom of something else is going on. Same thing of my bloating. My bloating was a symptom of something else is going on. Oh yeah. And I also got my food sensitivity test back. And I'm there's temporary and permanent food sensitivities. I'm permanently sensitive to, oh my gosh, gluten, dairy, grains, and I think green pepper. So it's corn and quinoa and all these other things that are supposedly healthy you can't eat. So I'm shifting my whole diet around and trying to work around that, but able to understand, hey, this is what's going on. This is what I need to do differently. So when it comes to anger is a messenger. It is telling you that something is happening underneath it. So think of an iceberg, and I give this analogy in my coaching program. Think of an iceberg. Anger is on top, and then underneath there's this massive iceberg under the water. And it could be things like unmet needs, feeling overstimulated, running on empty and burnout, having a negative mindset, being in pain, physical pain, feeling overstimulated because there's so much going on around you, having an unsupportive spouse or not asking anybody for help and just feeling so overwhelmed because you have so much on your plate. There's so many things that's underneath anger, like a messy house. That can bring up anger because it makes you feel out of control and in your life. And when you feel out of control, things feel more triggering, right? And so there's something underneath that anger. Maybe you have some unprocessed emotions that you have been dealing with that you've been suppressing because you don't have the time to process them. Maybe you had a yucky conversation with your spouse and now you have these yucky feelings on the inside. You feel bitter and resentful, and unintentionally you're taking it out on the kids. Maybe you had some other circumstance at work that's feeling really not good and you feel nervous. You feel anxious about something. Maybe you're afraid that you'll get fired from because XYZ said something or somebody did something, and now you have these unprocessed emotions and unintentionally you're taking it out on your kids. Maybe it's a control issue. You feel like you have to control everybody because you think it's your job to control your children because they are a reflection of you. That's what you were taught. And you cannot control your kids. So therefore, you feel super triggered and angry because you can't control your kids. Actually, that is an example of one of my clients that I'm working with right now. She has been in my program for a while. So there's a lot of things that she has experienced and had breakthroughs with. One is burnout. She's been in go mode constantly without any breaks, any time to slow down, reflect, and her nervous system was just overloaded. That was one thing. And the other big thing that came up was wanting and trying to control things that are out of her control. And like, especially her children and their behavior, wanting them to do things a specific way, her way. And when she couldn't get that, that was bringing up a lot of triggers inside of her and a lot of anger. And when that, she was able to recognize it's not my job to control them. My job is to be in control of myself, of my own emotions, my own actions. Then that's when she experienced that breakthrough and things started to shift. She finally turned the corner, and she's learning how to let go of things that are not in her control. And for example, even in this situation, when we feel out of control, it comes from surrendering to the Lord. We need to realize that certain things in our life are out of our control, and we just surrender them to the Lord. We pray over it and we give it up to God. Maybe there's a conflict with your spouse that cannot get resolved, or with your ex, and they're doing something that you really don't like. Yes, there's things in your control. You can set some boundaries and work on the way that you respond. And you cannot control other person, what they think, say, and do. And so releasing that part to the Lord. There's also mindset work where you shift your thoughts. When you have thoughts that, oh, I need him to do this. I have to have him do this. This isn't about me. Okay? My behavior, my kid's behavior isn't about me. It's just happening. My kid's meltdown isn't about me. He's just having a hard time. And what am I going to do about this to help him through it? What am I going to say and do to be proud of the way that I handled the circumstance? Or one of my favorites is I'm choosing to let this go. For example, when you need to have your kids take a bath or brush their teeth and they're giving you so much resistance, and you're having already a hard day to begin with, and you're having a lot of anger that's coming up, you shift your thoughts. Instead of, oh, I need to get him to brush his teeth right now, I'm choosing to let this go tonight. I'm choosing to let this go. You turn around and you walk away. You're choosing to let this go. You cool off, you come back, and you skip this part and you move on to it. Because the way that you handle this is more important than for him brushing his teeth that night. And which is speaking to the next phrase, for example, getting to church on time. Anybody here feel really triggered when you're running late? Yes, I feel like that all the time. And it seems like no matter what time I get up in the morning and try to get everybody ready, somehow we're still running out the door late and get to church 5 minutes late. And I remember this past Sunday, I was feeling triggered that we're late again. And I'm like, I did XYZ ahead of time and somehow we're still running late. I don't know. And that's where mindset work comes in. And I tell myself, the way that I handle this is more important than getting to church on time. Because if I'm trying to control my kids to get in the car at a specific time and get to church on time, which, yes, next time I can do things a little bit differently and I need to brainstorm some ideas. And the way that I handle this right now is going to be more important. When my kids grow up and become adults, they will not remember every single thing that I said and did. They will remember how our home atmosphere felt. And I can tell you is I constantly felt rushed out the door when I was a kid because we had lots of activities. We had church events going on, and my mom had a tendency to run late. My dad had a personality trait where he really wanted to be on time, actually 10 minutes early or 15 minutes early, and that felt good to him. And so 6 kids trying to get out the door was strenuous, and I felt rushed a lot. And I remember in this specific area about my childhood, I had this time pressure constantly. And I felt this urgency and felt this frazzleness. Okay. So I want my kids to feel peaceful and calm when they think of their childhood. And we had some hard moments, but overall, my childhood felt great. Instead of my childhood felt negative and rushed and frazzled, and my mom was reactive all the time. I don't want my kids to remember that about me. And so how you handle this is more important than you getting to church on time. how you handle this with your child is more important than him brushing the teeth the way that you want him to brush his teeth. Maybe he brushes his teeth the way that he wants to brush his teeth, in a different order. I don't know, maybe he puts on his pajamas first, then he brushes his teeth. Maybe he reads the books, then he brushes his teeth. I don't know. But the way that he does it, the way that you do it, seriously, handle the circumstance, is more important than it getting done specifically your way. Okay? So the whole process, I think what I'm trying to explain of this whole thing is the goal is to get to the root of anger. You need to understand why you're feeling angry in the first place. And asking yourself, why do I feel angry? Speaking of that, I actually have a really good resource for you that you can get access completely for free. It is called How to 10x Your Emotional Capacity Levels as a Mom. It helps you understand why you feel easily angered and triggered and changes that you can make to increase your capacity levels as a mom. You can get access to it completely for free if you leave a review on Apple Podcasts, screenshot it, and email it to me, hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com, and I will give you a coupon code to purchase for free, to get access to this training for free. So, my friend, if this is you, as you're listening to this podcast, I want you to know that there is hope for you. If you cry yourself to sleep thinking that you're such a mean and horrible mom to your kids, maybe if you're wondering if your kids would be even better off without you, if you find yourself repeating the same old patterns your parents have said and done when you were a child, and if you feel hopeless and stuck, by the way, that's a lie from the enemy, I want to invite you to connect with me. I want to help you. Book a consultation call with me and let's chat where you are right now. What have you tried that hasn't worked? And what are your desires? What kind of mom do you want to be for your children? And if you want to work with me, I'll share with you about my coaching program and walk alongside you with a step-by-step process. Friend, my program is 100% money-back guarantee. You either get results and you make massive changes in your life, or you can get a full refund at week 12. I know you will see such massive changes in your life, and I believe it so much. So far, none of the moms that were in my program have needed a refund because they have noticed positive changes in their life. If you're ready to make these changes, you have nothing to lose. I am here to support you every step of the way. Book a call with me and let's talk about how you can make these changes in your life. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, I am so grateful. I would love for you to share it with one mama friend. Also, come back to the next episode. Subscribe to the show so you can come back when the next episode drops next week. And it's going to be about our attitude. How to shift our attitude. Anybody having a negative attitude? What can we do to shift our negative attitude, to have a positive attitude in how we do everyday things with our kids? It's going to be so powerful. It's going to be so good. I promise you, I'm looking forward to that episode a lot. My friend, thanks for being here. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please share it with a friend. And until next time. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.